and make all kinds of things with them, but what they are is instant everything, and they're almost free when you make them like that. And you can just keep them going. You keep these trays going, they're amazing for your health. And then next year, when we pass regulation in Arizona, we will be able to grow our own cannabis. When we do that...
That's this year.
That's, well,
Yeah, it's this year
it is this year, yes, but we won't be able to actually grow until 2017. But you're right, it is this year when we pass this.
When is the vote? I heard summertime.
The vote is,
November 8th.
it's in November, just like, yeah, I heard always.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, please, interrupt when you have a question, anybody, don't worry. But we will be able to grow this ourselves. We'll be able to grow 6 plants. Now with these 6 plants, I've never grown myself, except by accident about 10 years ago. And I pulled that, threw it out, it wasn't supposed to happen. But the fact is that it's very easy to do, inexpensive. A lot of folks say it's expensive, but it's not. It happens instantly. We'll be allowed to grow 6 of these plants. We can take these plants and we can turn them into the medicines I've been talking about. And we can have these things for free, without cost. We can take our health back into our own hands. So I'm getting people started. Get growing, start growing. This is good for us, it's natural for us, and it's great for our bodies.
And it's actually 6 per person or 12 per household.
So, yes, sir, it certainly is. Just, again, I'm nagging, but I'm just telling you this because sometimes people don't understand how much better they can feel when they really pay attention to these things. I know we all love our piles of grease and sugar and all this terrible stuff, but our bodies can't stand it. Our bodies weren't made to absorb these things that we're putting in them. Why we've created these to put inside our body, I don't know. Some of them are good. A little bit of meat, for those of you that eat meat, it probably makes you feel fine if you've done it the right way. If it's, lean and such, and it's not a fried something. But the public enemy #1 that I've found out so much about is sugar. It's so common, it's everywhere. We fill children full of it, and then we laugh. And we go, look, he's full and high on sugar. He's full of poison. I'm singing to the rooftops because I can't believe how bad this stuff is for us. Has absolutely no nutritional value, you all know that. But it harms our liver the same way, as alcohol does. The same exact way. It causes diabetes, heart disease, obesity, cancer. And it actually feeds cancer. If you've got a tumor in your body, it will feed it and make it better and bigger, and stronger. If any of you have a tumor, please pay attention to this because you can, and Google it, do your own research. Very important, cut sugar out immediately. And don't forget, and it's highly addictive. It's actually addictive, physically addictive. That's why the kids love it and they can't wait to get their hands on it. Don't forget the fruit sugar that's in your fruit, your natural fruit. There's a lot of sugar in fruit. And, again, some of these foods just make us feel down and unhealthy. Break your usual pattern. Try something new. You'll feel better. You'll learn more. And then you can teach and help others. You can spread the information. That's what I'm doing here today. I'm here to help. I'm here to help save lives. I'm here to promote a more peaceful and empathetic society. That's what I was hoping for originally. What I've learned. 1,800 college students died from alcohol poisoning or alcohol-related incidents every single year. They go off to school, they want to party, they want to have a good time. It's over-advertised, it's everywhere, alcohol. Gosh, we were at Prescott for Whiskey Row for New Year's Eve. Wow. It's just alcohol bonanza out there, and then you get up and you go to breakfast, and there's alcohol on the menu for breakfast, too. It's like suggesting, hey, we start serving alcohol. What, 8? One of them? I couldn't believe it. I just can't believe it so much. It's just everywhere. No wonder Yavapai has an alcohol addiction problem. They do. It's very high here. 10 kids die every month in Arizona from pharmaceutical overdose. Every month in Arizona. 80,000 people die from alcohol and alcohol-related incidents in America every year. 36,000 die each year from prescription drugs. And no one, again, has ever died, ever, from cannabis. I've learned that Americans are overprescribed harmful pharmaceuticals. Again, one person dies every 20 minutes from painkillers that contain opiates, just like heroin. These opiate painkillers have the same opiates in them as heroin. So when folks run out of their prescription or doctor won't give them this prescription anymore, they go to the street. So now Arizona has a great big heroin problem. And we all know this. We've seen it on the Walter Cronkite, we've seen it on the various shows. Across the nation, honestly, we've got a heroin problem. I watched something, it's Nightline, did a story on a nice bunch in Vermont, and their kiddo is on, he's at home, 30 years old, he's on heroin. These kids are just falling susceptible because they started with the pain medications. The woman who founded Americans for Safe Access, that I'm an affiliate of, was a girl in her 20s who had a car accident, and she was overprescribed pain medications. She got addicted to them. And she said, this is crazy. And she found out medical cannabis was an option. And so she did, and she got off that addiction. It's like being addicted to heroin when you're addicted to painkillers. So, not just that. I found out that 1 in 5 kids are prescribed ADHD medications that contain methamphetamine. They contain methamphetamine, and you can look this up as well. 1 in 5. Now, they don't all take it. It's about 1 in 10 kids that do actually take their prescription. But, you know, some of them don't take it. Some of them sell it. People are selling these things. ADHD meds, pain medications, they are selling them to each other in high school and outside of high school. My friends were feeling better and getting their lives back with medical cannabis. I couldn't deny coming out here and talking about it. I could when I learned this. Cannabis as medicine can help so many people, can save lives from accidental overdose, and it's creating that peaceful, less violent society. Ooh, something happened there that I hope for. I don't know what it's supposed to say for. Teens and cannabis, very, very important. Kids need to stay away from all drugs, both legal and illegal, unless they have a valid medical need. With the overprescribing of ADHD medications in the last 20 years and so much deadly experimentation with alcohol and pills, some parents have actually allowed their teens to routinely use cannabis, seeing as a less dangerous alternative. Kids need attention, love, activities, and purpose. They don't need drugs. While cannabis cannot take a life, it's not harmless. The daily use of any substance can be detrimental to a developing brain. And science tells us our brain is not fully developed until we're in our mid-20s. An honest new approach to drug education is needed to break the cycle of addiction. I've researched the effects of regulating cannabis. What I found is that teen drug use is actually down across the nation. Binge drinking is definitely down, way down. Overdose deaths are down, and that's true in our own state, according to the Arizona Youth Survey. Also, according to the latest Monitoring the Future report of December 2015, just a month ago, from the National Institute on Drug Abuse, NIDA. The Arizona Youth Survey shows the same positive trends since our state passed its medical marijuana law in 2010. Now, I'm not saying medical marijuana is the reason that drug use has come down. What I'm saying is that since 2010, we have had a positive trend of less drug use in our state. So with the regulation of cannabis in 2010, the sky is not falling. Our teens are not becoming more susceptible to marijuana use. We know the charts, we've seen the graphs. I've got some of them here for you today. If we have time, we'll take a look at them as well. We're getting through this pretty well. We're going to take a break here in probably about 10 minutes. But this is absolutely true. Any one of you can go and look this up. Again, the sky is not falling in Colorado. The sky is not falling in Arizona since regulation happened. Colorado. Teen binge drinking and overdose deaths are down. To me, that's the most important. Other drug use is down as well. Marijuana use seems to be kind of holding steady. What you will hear is that Colorado teens, highest in the nation. Absolutely true. But if you look at history, Colorado has always had the highest use in the nation. And you can look that up. You can certainly look through the charts. Colorado has always been on top.
And just not to interrupt.
Yes, please.
The only reason it's actually on top, I've dug into this, is because Rhode Island fell from the top.
Did Rhode Island, were they?
Rhode Island was the top and it fell down. So I've actually sent this little bit of info to some prohibitionists and said, instead of looking at the sky is falling model in Colorado, why don't we figure out what they're doing in Rhode Island?
Yeah.
And so, and the key there is they have a medical program, and they do actually have, they've sort of changed, they haven't really legalized it, but the legislature there has actually implemented, it's basically a civil fine now for an ounce or less of possession. So it's not going to put a felony on your record for the rest of your life. And you pay a simple civil fine and go on about your life and try not to do it again. But that seems to me that's very similar to what we're asking for in Arizona. So
Exactly, sir,
it
exactly.
seems like the kids are worth it.
Well, that's it. Regulation, the combination of regulation and education does seem to be working. So Rhode Island fell because of
The only
their
reason
programs.
Colorado's highest is because Rhode Island came off the top.
Well, there it is. So, we know that now. We also know, if we go to the Department of Transportation, that highway fatalities are absolutely at a historic low. Since 2002, when they began to regulate cannabis, they had their first medical program started in 2002. If you look at that history in Colorado, it's just been down, 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 down. It went from about 800, I forget exactly the figures, but it's like half of the fatalities from 2002 to now. So it's absolutely been going down every year. Violent crime is down. Violent crime is down in Denver, 24%. There's some other things across Colorado. You can certainly do your own research, but what I've found, every chart seems to say that crime has been going down. There's been a little bit of property crime amongst some folks, but there really hasn't, the violent crime is absolutely going down. And that's, I think, the most important. Violent crime, highway fatalities as a mom, those are the things that are most important to me. And to some people, real estate values are way up. And it surprises some folks because they think, oh, our property values are going to go down in Arizona if we regulate cannabis. Because all the, there will be all stoners here, and it'll look like, the place, so somebody doesn't want to buy a house. Well, their real estate values are way up right now. Obviously, their tax revenues are soaring. We can use that money here in Arizona for education, and that's exactly where it is intended to go. Yes, sir.
Also, their tourism is up 29%.
Everybody wants to go, and that's the beautiful thing, is that they can go and they can try this as medicine. You can go and just visit Colorado, try this and see how it feels in your body. Yes, it's being sold recreationally, but when you think about it this way, your body doesn't know if it's a medicinal law or a recreational law. All your body knows is that you feel better and that you're getting this medicine in it. So travel to Colorado. That's a great suggestion. I've got to put that in here. Because you can go there and you can try it before you become a patient here in Arizona. And that's really valuable because a lot of folks are just scared to even, make that investment. It's a lot of money, when you think it could cost up to $300 to get this card, and it's kept a lot of people back from trying this. Regulation takes business from the street dealers and puts revenue in our state's pocket. I really think that that's one of the big reasons that regulation plus education is working to keep kids away from heroin and meth, and that those things are falling. Because when a kid goes to purchase marijuana and he's got heroin and meth and ecstasy and how many other drugs as an option from this street dealer, well, then he's got options. He could buy a little of this, a little of that. When he happens to come upon it because there was a medical marijuana patient or we had a recreational law and he fell onto some marijuana or he found some marijuana or somebody was growing it, he's not exposed to heroin and meth. So to me, that's a good thing. When you're exposed to just this one substance, which I guess exposure is up 600% also in Colorado. And I point out that the exposure is up because it's legal. Mm-hmm. Now these are kids being exposed to medical cannabis, being exposed to cannabis. But you know what? There's less kids exposed to alcohol and poisonous pills. Those poisonous pills, when that little kid comes across and samples that, are going to take his life. When that kid comes across that cookie that has the marijuana in it and they sample it, he's going to go to sleep for a long time. Maybe they're going to end up going to the hospital and there's going to be more reports that more people went to the emergency room because they're scared because their kiddo's sleeping. But that little kid is going to wake up to a mom. That's night and day. That's the end line. That's the bottom line. That kid wakes up or that kid doesn't wake up. I want him to be exposed to the stuff where he wakes up. I'm sorry. That's where I'm at. Yes?
Well, and too, most of the kids are getting them from their grandparents, all of these drugs. Their parents and grandparents and their medicine chests.
Absolutely.
So, but I have a question too, because
yes.
It seems like there's a real paranoia, you may have already talked about it, but, that it's still federally illegal.
Yes.
So that seems to be a real paranoia.
It is, and we did go over that earlier, but what it is that it is a Schedule I drug, and they've kept it that way for years. We went through the history of you know, how it became a Schedule 1 drug. And it's marked Schedule 1 with no medicinal value, even though we've got 23 states that have recognized that medicinal value and growing.
And so that's rapidly changing, so
Yes,
that's gonna change that.
I believe if
Thank
there
you.
must be somebody in this room that knows how many states it has to take to tip that tipping, to make the tipping point happen where the feds just have to say,
It only
sorry.
took 11 states to end prohibition.
That's, see, no, but we've gotten twice that. So does anybody know how many states?
Not a
Michael?
number,
It doesn't-
not a
My
required
political
number.
expert back?
No, I am an expert on this and it's not a required number.
There's no required number, so
No,
we
you
can
have
keep
to-
turning them
it's-
over.
Right.
Then it could be
Basically,
49
you have a constitutional amendment that can either start with Congress or it can start with the states. But the states have to make this motion as a united thing, not the individual states making the change. But he's right, when alcohol changed, the federal government respected the will of the states. Right now, more people live in medical marijuana states in America than not. So,
So we're moving in the right direction. At least there's that. And eventually the federal government will have to catch up.
Right.
I
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
question. In the states where it's legalized recreationally, so Colorado, Oregon, and Washington, right? And Alaska maybe?
In
DC
Alaska now,
too.
right? Let me
DC.
see.
Okay,
Starting.
then where do people get their information about how it's useful medically? Because it becomes like a bar where you can go and get high. So, like, shouldn't it be sold in pharmacies or something where people can actually know what kind they should use and how they should use it and all that? If it's recreational, it seems like all that information would be kind of gone.
Yes, and that's exactly what's happening. That's a great question, and thank you for asking it. Because what we've had is kind of, people turning their back, our own governor, our former governor, Jan Brewer, turned her back on the program and created this whole gray area because they didn't implement the program right away. They won't implement programs right away, they won't get involved in standards. AZDHS has information, but they're not getting involved in the standards. We really need some standards. People are working on that. If they would just break through federally and reschedule it, then we could get some good national standards on that. And that's, honestly, that's part of what I'm working for, because we need the correct information, the precise information, and we're just not getting that because they're delaying and stalling on the federal level to make this Schedule 1. And I'll say it, doesn't sound right, but I think it's a money issue. I think it's an issue of money, and they're trying to figure out how to get it to be profitable enough for everyone, and then everybody can enjoy a federal Schedule 2 or 3 status. But until we get there,
But
who knows, we'll
You
stay in
know,
limbo.
what will that do to the costs?
Oh,
I
I
mean,
believe that
and
the
what-
more open it will be, I believe that the lower the cost will come. But just like any new product that we buy, things come down because you have more folks selling it, so the price will come down as we go. That's what I believe.
To the earlier question, isn't it true that if it were to become legal in Arizona, that people could only buy it through state-controlled dispensaries, and in those dispensaries, the labeling and regulation is super high, so isn't that how a state where it would be legal or is legal controls the substance and distribution of it?
Well, what they do is they have the medical program. Our medical program will still be in place. I'm sorry, I didn't answer that part of your question. Our medical program will still be in place, so we still will have these dispensaries. Some of them will sell recreationally as well as medically. So they have, like in Colorado, I haven't been